We also saw the survey from the Business Roundtable. I'm sure you saw it. They asked CEOs what they expect to happen, and they anticipate employment will decrease in 2026 rather than increase. Are you concerned about a hiring slowdown?
The same Fed said that they were more bullish on growth for next year, right? And so I think that we're at a
But on the jobs picture.
But on the jobs picture, we're going to get the data next week. And so maybe next Sunday I'll come back and we'll talk about it, because we've got 2 months of data coming out on Tuesday. And we'll get a clearer picture, because right now we just have some very difficult to pin down surveys. Like the gold standard for this will be really the household survey, which we don't even get for October.
But these were CEOs. They're the people who would be doing the hiring, right? And they're saying we're not doing it.
But they don't have the broad perspective that we'll get when we get the big data released next week.
And you trust that big data?
I trust the household survey especially. And sadly, we won't have one for October, but we're going to get one for November, and that's going to be really important for thinking about where the job market is.
Employment is one of the things that the Fed watches closely. And we heard again from the president that you were on this short list to be potentially the next Fed chair, although he was conducting interviews this week. He said you and Hoover's Kevin Warsh are at the top of the list. On Friday, the president was asked how big of a role he wants to personally play in future Fed interest rate decisions. Take a listen.
I think I certainly should have a role in talking to whoever the head of the Fed is, or the Fed. I don't think that, in the old days that used to happen. Nowadays it's sort of, they think it shouldn't happen. But I've done great. I've made a lot of money. I've been very successful. I think my voice should be heard.
As Fed chair, how frequently would you consult with the president when he says he wants his voice heard?
Well, I'm right now the top economic advisor for the president, and I talk about almost everything with him almost every day. I've certainly talked about monetary policy. I think he has very strong and well-founded views about what we ought to do. But in the end, the job of the Fed is to be independent and to work with the group of people that are on the Board of Governors at the FOMC to drive a group consensus on where interest rates should be, and to do so, basically with the guidance of the Fed chair. But in the end, it's a committee that votes, and I'd be happy to talk to the president every day, until both of us are dead, because it's so much fun to talk.
Even if you were Fed chair.
Even if I were Fed chair, or if I wasn't Fed chair, and I would hope that Kevin Warsh would be talking to the president as well if he were Fed chair.
And voice should be heard is going to be.
Every Fed chair talks to lots and lots of
market experts. Equal to the other members of the voting members, or?
Excuse me?
Would the president's voice have equal weighting to the voting members?
No, he would have no weight. It's just his opinion matters if it's good, if it's based on data. And then if you go to the committee and you say, well, the president made this argument, and that's a really sound argument, I think. What do you think? If they reject it, then they'll vote in a different way.
Understood. Well, we'll be watching to see what happens. Kevin Hassett.
Great to be here.
Thanks as always.